President Trump's Wikipedia page is the most viewed biographical page on the site, but not without controversy. A Slate article published this week examines the behind-the-scenes drama surrounding the page.
It's entitled "Donald Trump's Wikipedia Entry is a War Zone" and details debates between editors about what content the page should include. Aaron Mack is a technology reporter for Slate. He wrote that article, and he joins us now from D.C. This was such a fascinating article, Aaron, because before we even get into the nuts and bolts of your piece, just briefly explain how Wikipedia works so people understand how it's edited.
Great, thanks for having me. So typically anyone can make an edit to any page, but for the Donald Trump page, it's so high profile that you have to first talk about potential edits to the page on a forum before it's actually enacted on the live page.
So then give us an idea of some of the topics that are sort of hotly debated and that sort of swing back and forth on his page.
Right, so wording is a huge issue. Do you call Trump racist, or do you say he's made comments that are perceived as racially charged? Do you say he's lying, or do you say he's made false statements? Those small wording changes actually change the meaning of the article quite a bit. So there's a lot of back and forth on those small wording changes.
And a lot of back and forth about what to even include. Because, I mean, we know the onslaught of sort of incidents, it's a funnel that sort of never ends, right? And you can't put everything on the page that the president has done or said that has risen to headline status. So which ones do you pick?
Right, yeah. So if you were adding everything that happens during his presidency, it would be overloaded on the most recent things. This is supposed to be a biography of the man. So when things are happening in real time, it's really hard to decide, you know, is this thing that's happening really important? So, for example, the child separation policy last June, people didn't know if this was actually just a policy held over from previous administrations, as Trump was saying, or if this was a new major thing that the president was deciding to implement.
So this is, I mean, I'm guessing that these debates happen on a lot of pages, perhaps not with the intensity. This is sort of meta Wikipedia page entry. But I know, for example, like I'm a big Elvis fan, and I know that there's been a debate in the Wikipedia page. Do you call Elvis a drug addict, or do you say that he was being prescribed medication by his doctor? And people, Elvis fans, Wikipedia editors, like constantly are debating whether or not that can happen. But are we just seeing with President Trump that it's on a whole new level that Wikipedia has never experienced before?
Right. So, you know, with Elvis, you know, we have the advantage of history, or the advantage of time. We can look at all the information available under less pressure. Right now with Trump, things are happening every week, every day. So it's really hard to decide, you know, is this thing important? And because he's so controversial, that adds just another element to the debates and conflict on the page. And
you write in your article, as a result of that, the rules about who can edit the president's page, those rules have changed over time. What can you tell us about that? Right. So there's been a few incidents of major vandalism on the page. People have hacked into the page and replaced his image with a very vulgar one. So what happens at that point is it's locked down. Only very senior editors can make edits to the page. That doesn't happen often. It's sort of an emergency measure because, you know, Wikipedia is supposed to be pretty democratic. Most people are supposed to be able to make changes, but sometimes it gets to a point where it's gotten so either contentious or there's vandalism that they need to lock it down. And just real quick, it's not just anybody who can edit a Wikipedia page. I mean, at that level, right, for the President of the United States. I sometimes wonder, we were talking about our own Wikipedia page. First of all, I don't know how they came to be. Right. I don't know who edits them. I don't know. Sometimes facts appear in them that I'm like, how do they know that? And sometimes stuff is in there and I'm like, that's not how it happened. Yeah, that's why you should not use Wikipedia as your primary source. Right. Right. So for the Trump page, you have to have at least 500 edits on other articles and be an editor for at least 30 days. And that's when you can start making direct edits to the page. Even then, they can be reverted. And, you know, Trump himself or you, Anne-Marie and Vlad, you can't actually make edits to your own page. That's seen as kind of a conflict of interest. So it has to be secondary sources, editors who are... I didn't know that either. Yeah. That's really fascinating. And so here's a broader question, Aaron. I guess how important is
the president or any individual's Wikipedia page. I get that a lot of people use Wikipedia. I mean, I use it occasionally, yeah, for sure.
It's a jumping off point often.
Exactly.
And then you start to sort of dig deeper.
I love using it for like movies and things, like trying to understand, how movies are connected and music. But I wonder, how vital has Wikipedia become to our lives for people that are not in the media, who are not held to a standard that goes beyond using Wikipedia as a source?
Right. So, well, the Trump page is usually the second or third result when you search him on Google. It's very high profile. Also, you see increasingly, Siri and Alexa are relying on Wikipedia when you ask them questions about Trump or any other topic.
Oh, that's interesting. So, I didn't know that, really. Siri and
yes.
I thought that they were. That's really fascinating that they're using Wikipedia. So even if you ask Siri, would you suspect that the device may be getting information from a more credible source?
Yeah.
It's getting it from Wiki.
That's kind of scary.
Wow.
Very much. Yeah, I mean, when it's been vandalized, Siri has actually pulled up, vulgar images or misinformation made by vandals on the Trump page. So, it is pretty high stakes. Okay,
I just got to it's a public service announcement. I know we just said it's not your primary source. Wikipedia is, a very interesting resource, but listen to Aaron. It is edited by people who are just into Wikipedia. They like, it's not edited by experts per se. Sometimes experts are on there, for sure. It may be a starting off point for a conversation, but you have to do your own research. Mm-hmm. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, that is a public service announcement. It really is true. And this article is a very good look at exactly what Anne-Marie is talking about, Aaron. So it's really wonderful that you were able to write a piece like this, because I think it sort of gives folks an understanding of how a Wikipedia page is edited, what goes into it. And we don't really know. We talk about the number of edits you have to have, but who knows if some of these individuals are working for the campaign or working for the White House or working for Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. You have no idea of knowing what the agenda of these editors are, unless there is a mechanism.
Right. Well, every fact that goes on the page has to be cited. So you always want to check at the bottom. There's always footnotes, so you can see where things are coming from. But there have been cases where politicians and their staffs have changed the page. For example, Louis Gohmert said during a hearing that his staff was changing his page over a course of 2 weeks. So it is difficult to tell what kind of motivations people may have, but really check those citations. That's really important to see where the information is coming from.
Really,
this is valuable information.
This is a very informative segment. We're so glad you were able to join us. Aaron Mack, technology reporter at Slate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.